Hello from the land of TV. This is King Kool with a special episode of King Kool's Distracted Movie Reviews. Yeah, as you can probably see, I'm back here at the Zen Gardens, which means that something went terribly wrong with my first attempt at making this episode. I went on so long that for some reason Goldwave just dropped out chunks of my commentary, which made the entire thing completely useless. It was already kind of a Charlie Foxtrot to begin with. So I'm here, I'm gonna relax, try to, relieve some stress, get some fat loots. So today on the show, I'm going to be doing a comparison between two movies, Superman 2, as released in 1980, and Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut. Now, this was originally suggested by my good buddy Adam Teles, who's actually someone I know in real life. Most of us call him Bard. Actually, we're the only ones who call him Bard, not most. But he just said Superman 2, and I was like, if I'm going to watch Superman 2, I'm going to watch the Richard Donner cut as well, and see which one is better. And that will be the bulk of this review. I'll start going mostly through the timeline of the movie, and say what the two movies do differently whenever something comes up. So, at the very beginning of the movie, of the first one, I should point out, the Richard Donner cut is directed fully by Richard Donner. The one that was released in 1980 was partially shot by him, but then they replaced the director and reshot a whole bunch of stuff. So, that turned out, that one is directed by a man named Richard Lester. Oddly enough, both named Richard. Pardon me. So, the Lester version, the original version, starts with this beginning with, Paris. And there's terrorists who are threatening to blow up the Eiffel Tower with a nuclear missile. Or a nuclear bomb, rather. Don't ask me how French terrorists got their hands on a nuclear bomb. It sort of was hard enough to believe in the sum of all fears, but alright, whatever, let's go with it. Anyway, this scene is so stupid and not necessary. It leads to Superman coming to Paris to save Lois Lane, who has gotten himself in another pickle. And he takes the whole elevator cart where the nuclear explosion is, and he throws it out into space, and it blows up, and it destroys the prison that these three villains are in. These three villainous Kryptonians are in, and they've been, trapped in for alleged eternity. But once there was an explosion, boom, it knocked them out. And it's like, wow, that seems like a really big coincidence. Now, in the original movie, in the Richard Donner cut, it's actually one of the missiles that he stops from hitting some target. And, and he has to stop two missiles at once. One of those, he throws it into space, and it's that missile that blows up and does that. And I think, okay, that's a little better in the sense that they're giving a consequence to Superman throwing stuff into space. But he seems to do that a lot. Just like, oh man, I'm late for work, let me throw the building into space. He seems to do that a lot. So anyway, these three guys, they all get out. But then they go to, they, for whatever reason, pretend to be newlyweds at Niagara Falls. That they're doing a story on it or something. And then this kid falls off Niagara Falls, and Superman appears and saves him. This kid falls, slower than any kid I've ever seen. Just slowly. You figure, even Niagara Falls is big, but you don't take 10 seconds to fall down. It's such a ridiculous scene, but then Lois in both ones is like, wow, Superman happened to be here while we were both in town. So in the original cut, she throws herself into rapids to make Clark Kent, save her as Superman and basically force his hand. But he just saves him, tries to do it regular type, or tries to do it without everyone noticing. And I'm like, this is dumb. This is friggin' turning her into friggin' Bella Swan all of a sudden. And I said this, and then I watched the Richard Donner cut, and I realized, oh, this happens way earlier in this movie. It's about 12 minutes in, when she's like, oh, I think that he's Superman, just because she's finally realized that they look identical. I don't know why my frames per second are so low right here. So she throws herself out the window to try to make him do that. And then he saves him without exposing himself, trying not to. But in both times, he shoots his heat ray through his glasses. And I'm like, how come that's not melting it? We prove later on in the movie that, for whatever reason, a mirror can reflect it, even though it can, like, burn through anything. It's like, this is silly. One more. So this is sort of dumb. And, those are two similar scenes. It's almost like, if there's so much that's similar, why do they bother firing the director to make these scenes just suck just a little bit more? This is ridiculous. So, in both of them, there's a moment where she finally says, I'm gonna hop into adventure now. Huh? What's this? Well, let me restart. I don't remember doing that. I don't think that was the last video. One thing I've noticed, I can't pick plants while I'm here, so we're gonna have to be a cut here, and I'll see you in a bit. And we're back. I know I can't pick those things while talking about this, so I had to have a cut there. I think I said that. In both movies, there's a scene where she does determine that he is Superman. In the Lester cut, in the original cut, it's he trips and puts his hand in the fire, and she's like, "Oh man, you're not burned. You must be Superman." And it's like, all right. As much as that doesn't seem likely, after I'd seen that and then I went to work. No, actually, I think I saw it on. Well, there's the phone. You know, he didn't get burned, so he's Superman. Boom. And in the Richard Donner version is a lot funnier because, of all things, Lois Lane pulls out a gun and she says, "Hey, if this bullet bounces off you, you're Superman." And she shoots him. And he's like, "Oh, man, look, if that wasn't true, Clark Kent would be dead." And she's like, "Oh, you think a blank would kill him?" And it's like, "Oh, Lois Lane, you crafty bitch." On the other hand, like, you know, come on, he's supposed to be, like, smart Superman. Kira wouldn't fall for that. He'd be like, "No, you didn't shoot me, look. It just happened to hit my belt buckle," or some shit. He would come up with something. So yeah, the three bad Kryptonians, like, fly around and they, kill people on the moon, and then they kill people on, like, you know, in Houston. Like, they start calling the planet Houston because all the astronauts call Houston. They call back to the planet, you know, they call back to Earth. Which is strange because then they land in Houston. It's like, how did they know where to land? Do they follow the signal or something, or what? It's not like they land at the airbase or anything. They don't make as much of a point of this in the Donner cut, that they do call the land Houston. And then we proceed to have 4 scenes, like, intercut with, I might have screwed my... maybe he won't die. 4 scenes of them just continuing to run into humans and beat them up. Which is, for the most part, sort of unnecessary. I'm gonna save that for when I need it. Yeah, here we go. Oh, check it out. Which is mercifully cut down just a little bit in the Donner cut, because it's just constantly, oh, look at the humans not know these guys are aliens, and then watch them break something or hurt them or throw them around or do something with their super strength and impress them. Blah, blah. It goes on too many times. And at this point, Superman goes back to the Fortress of Solitude, and they have a date, and it is quite implied that they have sex. In the Donner version, they actually have sex before he decides to give up his powers, and in the Lester version, it's after, which is a maybe not an important distinction, but it is an interesting one. Wake up, you damn it. Where am I? Because, yeah, Superman decides to give up his powers, which is like, okay, yeah, why, I don't know, but, okay. And then, at this point, like, he doesn't know about General Zod, he hasn't heard about it, because this happens right at the right time when they go off and he decides to give up his powers, right when 3 superpowered Kryptonians come around. Okay, fine. And then they go out, and in the Lester cut, they destroy Mount Rushmore, and in the Donner cut, they destroy the Washington Monument. And you hear someone on the TV say thousands of hours to construct, and they destroyed it in a matter of minutes, or seconds maybe. And it's like, okay, I think Mount Rushmore took more than thousands of hours to construct, which I think makes it far more appropriate to use the Washington Monument. Then they go to this rinky-dink diner. It's never said how, without Superman's powers, how they get out of the Fortress of Solitude from the North Pole. That's never quite elucidated. I'm really am quite puzzled by that. But nevertheless, they somehow do. Just with the power of love or something. And they go to this rinky-dink diner, and Superman gets his butt kicked. And then they turn on the TV at the exact right moment to see the president call out, "Superman, we need you," over a national address. Where he says he's abdicated all power to Zod. And he's like, "Oh, I've made a terrible mistake." It's like, yes, that's what your father told you when you were making the mistake. That didn't strike you at the first time? Ooh, chocolate. So it's like, why don't you listen to him? So then the three characters, they go out to, like, Lex Luthor meets up with them. And he's like, "Hey, I know Superman's secret," or whatever. He bargains his way in. And then they go out to the Daily Planet, and then Superman reappears. In the Lester cut, there is no explanation how he got his powers back. In the Donner version, there is some explanation, at least a meager explanation thereof. I wouldn't call it a great one, but at least it is a reason. Then there's this big fight in the city, and this is where I started to get really restless in the original cut, in the Lester cut. Like, the three Kryptonians all fight, and this fight just drags on forever. Like, at one point, they knock them down into, like, the sewers, and just for, like, 2 minutes straight, you just see people, like, as they rumble, they just, "Oh, I'm stumbling around as the ground's rumbling." And then you just hear a bunch of bowling pins get knocked over as they're fighting. And this, in the Donner cut, this takes, like, 10 seconds. In the other one, it takes, like, a full minute. And then they pin Superman up against a bus or something. And it's like, "Oh, Superman's dead," one person says. Like, no, he's not, because Zod's name is not Doomsday. Or Darkseid, or whatever the frig killed him. It's like, no, he's not. Why the hell did I do that? It's like, it's silly, because they just drag it out for like 2 minutes of the three bad Kryptonians all blowing air at the civilians and throwing them around. And this is where I came to the realization of why I don't like Superman that much. It's because I know he can do everything. Nothing impresses me. The same reason why it doesn't impress me when a movie studio makes a bunch of car crashes. It's like, I know movie studios can do this. This isn't impressive to me anymore. You have to do something more. You know, have some sort of risk involved. There's no relevant skill when you're just crashing these objects together, because it's not that important. So I just got really bored. The climax is pretty much the same, and it is actually kind of interesting. I won't spoil it here. Then the ending differs in both versions, but in both versions the status quo was restored. In the original version, the Lester version, the ending is a big "what?" And in the Donner version, the ending is, "Ah, man, really? They're going that way with it?" I still have more to say, so I'm going to go on to the next level. And we're back. And I'm hoarse. Like, without giving too much away, the ending for the ending for the original one doesn't make even a lick of sense. The Donner version makes sense, but it's simply not very satisfying in a certain way. I don't want to be any more specific than that, because I don't want to spoil it. But here's the bigger surprise. When did you last see a director's cut of a movie that was shorter than the original movie? Which this one is. This movie's shorter by about 5-10 minutes. And that's a huge relief after the original cut just drags its fat ass around the backyard, like, until Sunday. It's like, it's clearly in no bloody hurry. So, it's kind of a pain. The fact of the matter is, I don't really like either version of this movie, but as far as which one is better, I vastly prefer the Richard Donner cut. It is simply far more competently and neatly executed. And maybe that's just because of the modern perspective, and it has a more modern look on filmmaking. I don't know. I don't know enough about it to really say, but I just can say what I like, and I like this one a whole lot better. Now, unfortunately, since I'm doing this in Fraps, I can't bring out the inanimate players. Because I did have something I wanted them to do, and I actually shot it, and I actually even introduced a new character, but unfortunately, like, that's not gonna be happening in this episode because of the technical malfunctions. But I do have a new segment I want to introduce, which I've been looking forward to, called The Fuck? So, as it turns out, Gene Hackman is listed top billed in both these movies. The fuck? Alrighty, hope you all enjoyed that new segment. I guess that's it for me. I don't think I have too much more to say about this movie. I think I've probably gone on too long. If you have a movie you want me to watch, just suggest it to me. Send me a message on YouTube. I keep wanting to say Facebook, even though I'm not on Facebook. Well, I'm on Facebook, but it's super secret. No, it's not. It's just for people I actually know. Nevertheless, this is King Kool. Drive home safe.